Well guys, One Piece's 1112th chapter just dropped after Ichiro Oda's 3-week hiatus, and what else can we say other than, thank the Lord the drought is over. But seriously, we're just happy that Luffy and the Straw Hats' continuing saga has finally returned, and this installment of Oda-sensei's modern classic shonen manga series hasn't lost any momentum that the preceding chapters built up for us fans. So what's in store for you once you witness One Piece chapter 1112? Stick around with us as we give you the lowdown on what you can expect from Luffy and company's plight within the borders of Egghead Island. It goes without saying that full spoilers are ahead, matey. You've been warned, so let's set sail into today's video. What you can expect from One Piece chapter 1112. The chapter opens right on the shores of Egghead Island as the Marines, who up until just a few chapters ago were getting absolutely dunked on, take advantage of the opening that the absolutely metal world government elder, Ethan Baranustro, gave them earlier. If you didn't know already, Nustro basically called the pacifista ranks while in his grotesquely badass form, that of a horseman wielding a katana that's reminiscent of one of the biblical horsemen of the apocalypse. And here we are now, as the Marines try to make the most of the opportunity their overseer gave them, ordering the remaining vessels not to only continue bombarding the island, but to up the ante too. To make matters worse for our heroes, it seems the Marines' main target now are all the remaining pacifistas. Ultimately, they've also firmly established within their ranks that Jewelry Bonney must be terminated. Sure, they're still of the mind that the Straw Hat crew should not be allowed to leave Egghead Island under any circumstances, but hey, priorities are priorities. Meanwhile, on land, Nustro continues to carve a path through the Kuma-faced pacifistas, slashing them down with his katana as he ponders on the fact that Bonney, who's technically a child, cannot have command of the mechanical soldiers. The grotesquely Centaurian elder tells himself how Vegapunk and everyone else against him are a bunch of fools for allowing her to have control of a robotic army capable of leveling entire countries. Somewhere else, Oimo and Kashi order everyone, from the Straw Hats to their fellow giant pirates, to retreat, as they're aware that the elders are on the scene. As this is happening, you can easily tell how desperate the Marines have become, as they scamper and panic to try and sink the giant ships on the northeastern shore of Egghead Island. Speaking of the northeastern shore, chapter 1111 saw Bonney, Frankie, and their group get harangued by some of the vice admirals just as they were about to get off the island. We're getting a short but undoubtedly bombastic payoff to this encounter, as we see Frankie and Vice Admiral Red King clash. In the end, all it takes for the brawny Straw Hat pirate is one solid right straight to the Red King's jaw, which knocks out the Vice Admiral and makes his quintuple chin look like freshly baked dinner rolls. Bonney asks the giant pirates to rescue her dad, one of the pacifistas, and they gladly accept it. Vice Admiral Pomsky hears this and in true boisterous Marine fashion starts berating and threatening her. Pomsky charges right at the pink-haired girl, but Bonney counters by touching him on the face and using her Toshi Toshi no Mi power to turn the Vice Admiral into a kid and give him a cracking punt to the face. Seriously, this scene is so hardcore that we just know Eren Yeager is smiling somewhere in hell after seeing this. Meanwhile, at the Labo phase, Vegapunk's pre-recorded message continues to play. It shows that he's still biding time, as the recording shows him trying to enjoy a delicious cup of Vegapunk coffee. Vegapunk's message reveals that they have 4 minutes left, which prompts Marcus Mars, currently wearing the winged monstrosity that is its Itsumati form, pressures Vegapunk York into cutting the transmission. But there's one problem. York tells him there's no way to stop it. As you'd expect from a bratty billionaire boy, Marcus lashes out and blasts a hole through the building's walls. Of course, this scares the gears right out of York, and she does her best to try and calm down the petulant bird boy. York tells the winged elder that there might still be a slim chance to stop the message, concluding that if she were Stella, the streaming transponder snail must still be hidden quote-unquote somewhere. And good grief, Oda-sensei really knows how to craft characters whose faces you'd want to give a good hard Stockton slap. As Marcus, after basically hearing that they might be able to stop Vegapunk's transmission if they find the transponder snail, comes to the decision that they should just wreck the entire Labo phase. Smart, Mr. Mars. Real smart. Anyway, York falls short of telling the elder that he's an absolute moron for thinking that, explaining to the winged monstrosity that the only thing blowing up the Labo phase would accomplish would be destroying any chance they have of stopping Vegapunk's message. Forget about having the ability to use Mother Flame. York's true power is not beating the crap out of the idiot in front of her. Well, not that she could anyway. Being the whiny 1%er that he is, Itsumati bosses York around and tells her to think of something that will stop the transmission. The traitorous satellite takes on the task and reassures Marcus that she'll find a way. Suddenly, the grotesque avian elder tells York that he can sense a small creature somewhere nearby. The female satellite tells him that it might be the streaming transponder snail, which might be inside the Punk Records room, and that it's one that has a triangular shell. They then fly off after he orders York to tell him where the entryway is, without so much as a thank you. With them gone, Kako and Stussy emerge from the rubble that Marcus had made of the Labo phase. They're just happy that the dumb giant bird didn't notice them and are able to suss out the fact that it's actually one of the elders. Kako asks Stussy if she was abandoned in the Labo phase as well, to which the spy replies that she decided to stay there out of her own will in order to fulfill her final mission, to aid the Straw Hats and their other allies to escape. As for this final mission, Vegapunk Edison reveals that Stussy's basically responsible for taking down the Frontier Dome to allow their ships to escape the island, especially the Thousand Sunny, a task that can only be executed from the Labo Phase's command room. Nami's initially reluctant about this, as she wants Stussy to be able to leave Egghead Island too, but the conversation is cut short when Nico Robin refocuses their attention to their planned escape. According to her, there's a 100% chance that their ship might crash once they take off, especially without the help of Vega Force 1. Usopp interjects and tells everyone that the preparations for the Kure burst is ready. They can activate it and get the hell out of Egghead Island once Zoro and Jinbei return. But in case the two don't make it in time, Usopp concludes that they simply have to improvise the way Straw Hats always do. Edison finds the Straw Hats' attitude to be troublesome, but he's nonetheless impressed. In fact, he's so moved by their iron will that he ends up sacrificing himself to test whether their escape plan might work. So, Edison jumps off the Thousand Sunny and crashes right into the dome. He gets absolutely wrecked, but not for nothing. This move allows the Straw Hats to determine that there is a chance that they can make it off Egghead Island alive, as Edison's sacrifice lets them know that the impact could only cause 78% damage. Back on the shores of Egghead, the marine vessels feel a powerful vacuum that appears to be sucking them up. It's revealed that Elder Shepherd Jupiter, in his sandworm form, is doing this, as he opens his disgusting maw and tries to inhale everything around him. Dory and Brogy do their best to get away from Jupiter's attack, but it's no use. This sandworm sucks harder than Joss Whedon's Justice League movie. Thankfully, Luffy notices what's happening and, in his Gear 5 form, yanks a building off the ground and hurls it right into Jupiter's open gob. This successfully saves the giant pirate captains from being swallowed. But it comes at a cost. Luffy gets exhausted and immediately transforms into an old man, which happens after using Gear 5. Dory and Brogy aren't worried though, as they hand Luffy a slab of shark jerky, the one-piece equivalent to a Snickers bar, and he instantly regains some much-needed strength. In fact, the quick snack is so nourishing that it allows Luffy to activate Gear 3 just as the Elder Topman Warcurie lunges at them in his boar-like Feng Chi form. The Straw Hat Captain manages to stop Warcurie in his tracks by smashing him in the dome with Gomu Gomu no Red Rock, but it's barely effective, as the impact damages Luffy's otherwise sturdy Gear 3 fist. Back at Nami's group, things take a turn for the worse as they see giant spider-like limbs claw its way up their position. No doubt that it's J. Garcia Saturn coming for them, but Usopp, Chopper, and Nami don't know it yet. On the northeastern shore, Nosturo stands in front of Bonney, Frankie, and Vegapunk Atlas with a bloodied katana in hand. They too still have no idea that this is one of the elders. And just before the chapter closes, we find Marcus Mars revert to his human form while inside the Punk Records room. Vegapunk's message says that they have a minute left before it kicks off, but the bearded elder has now located the streaming transponder snail he's been looking for all this time. We're left with a cliffhanger though, as Marcus hears thick dripping sounds off-panel that grab his attention. Our thoughts and theories about One Piece chapter 1112. Whew! That 3-week break Oda-sensei took in between chapters 1111 and 1112 surely paid off in spite of the fact that One Piece's latest installment is basically a setup issue. And what can we say? There are a lot of gears moving here, which makes it more impressive that the Egghead arc hasn't stalled or rushed into anything. Most notable in this chapter, of course, is the cliffhanger left at the end. We, for one, are extremely giddy for the eventual reveal as to what exactly Marcus saw. Of course, it goes without saying that we're hanging on to our straw hats to find out what will ultimately come of Vegapunk's message. We mentioned in one of our previous One Piece videos that there's a chance only one pacifista will be left by the end of the arc. It seems the odds are leaning towards that based on what we've seen here, as Bonney managed to save one of the Mecha Kumas with the help of the giant pirates. Then again, we just saw Nosturo appear right in front of her group, so we can't be too comfortable. For all we know, this single pacifista might end up wrecked once the Elder clashes with Bonney's group. Finally, it seems we're getting new matchups with this issue, as some of the Elders, from Warcurie to Saturn, are seemingly placed each in their own 3 versus 1 confrontations. This, of course, isn't a done deal. Remember, there are still other characters out there who aren't on the scene, such as Jinbei and Zoro. That's not to mention too that Bonnie's group are in close proximity to the giant pirates. As always, all we can do for now is wait. Thankfully, there's not going to be another break in between this chapter and its 1113th installment. But before we go, let's give a moment of silence for Vegapunk Edison. Way to take one for the team, you little robotic rascal. What did you think of One Piece Chapter 1112? Got any theories you want to share? Let us know in the comments below. And to be the first to see more amazing anime and manga content, subscribe to our channel and turn on all your notifications. We'll see you soon, guys.